Hello everybody, welcome to BD Nurse e-corner channel. So today in this session we are going to see about the equipments which we use in the vital signs, and in this we are going to more explore on the major parts and how it is being used and what is the major purpose on using the equipment for assessing the vital signs for any client, might be in an OPD or in an emergency unit or in an inpatient unit. So coming to the first slide, we're going to discuss about the thermometer. So this instrument is used to measure the body temperature. So we can either measure the core body temperature using the rectal thermometer, or we can use the digital or the commonly what we use for the patient, the clinical mercury thermometer. So before we use for the patient, we have to know, we being the nurse, student nurses, we have to know what are the major parts of the thermometer. So in the first picture, it is more evident on showing the digital type of thermometer. So here I'm going to place a D, which is the digital thermometer. So here you can see on one end, which there is the thermometer tip, and this is mostly made up of a thermometric sensor. So this sensor will be able to analyze the readings of the patient, and the readings will be displayed on the LCD. On the other end of the thermometer, you are having the on and off switch button. So the moment you switch on the button over here, you will hear the sound, beep sound, and the display unit will be shown on the LCD. Just behind the other part of the thermometer, you can open this blue color portion of the thermometer where it is there is an battery compartment where you can place in the replaceable battery. So always whenever you on the thermometer, the display along with the low battery indicator will be easily popping out, and in case if you find a low battery indicator, immediately replace it with a new battery loaded in. Next, coming to the next type of thermometer, which is on the right hand side, it's nothing but the glass thermometer or the clinical thermometer, which is being used for the patient for assessing any axillary body temperatures. So here also you have one end of the clinical thermometer which is very narrow, and it is being loaded up with the mercury, which we call it as the bulb end of the thermometer or the mercury bulb. Just between the mercury bulb and the graduations of the thermometer on the other hand, you have a small constricting ring, which we call it as constriction. So this ring plays a major role in preventing the backflow of the mercury once the mercury is expanded based on the patient body temperature. Then the next important part of the thermometer is the stem, where the graduations readings are being displayed on the thermometer. So on the middle portion you have a yellow colored or might be fluorescent color, which shows the mercury being expanded, so that we call it as the expansion chamber. And then for reading the lines, the graduations, you will be having the scale lines. Inside that, which is being covered by the graduations, is the capillary tube. So this is the parts of the thermometer. Next, coming to the equipment which is commonly used to assess the vital signs, is sphygmomanometer. So here on the left hand side you have the mercury blood pressure apparatus, or you call it as a sphygmomanometer, where on the top you have the glass lock, okay, and then just beneath the glass lock you have certain graduations with the glass tube in the center. Then you have the mercury tank very closely, you have the on and off switch very close to the mercury tank, and then you have the rubber tubings which is being connected to the cuff, and over the cuff you have the cuff cover, and you also have the inflator bulb as well as the nozzle. And this portion is the where the BP cuff is being placed, which we call it as the BP case. and here the black portion of the BP apparatus is the front lock. On and off, you can just close it and do it. On the next hand, you have the parts of an aneroid blood pressure monitor. So this is based on the air readings, similarly to the mercury BP apparatus. You have a cuff followed by the bladder which is being placed inside. On one end you have the bulb for inflation and deflation. You have the end valve, air releasing knob valve, and the tubings along with the pressure gauge. So in the pressure gauge you can see there is a big needle noting out at which is the systole and diastole when you inflate and deflate, and you have the lens restating ring very close to it. There is a face plate, graduation markings are there in a fashion of like a clock with the serial numbers, and there is a calibration rectangle. Below that you have the bellow chamber. So this type of BP apparatus, which we call it as the digital BP apparatus, which are commonly nowadays used in all the patients setup. So here you have, it is totally automatic, just you're going to set the button and you're going to give a start and a stop. So in this, how you're going to get the reading is that here you'll be able to, the display is shown on the LCD monitor, which is having the systole and the diastole, and you also have the heart rate being indicated, the pulse rate, as well as the time indicator with the AM or PM and on what time we are assessing. And of course you have the USB port being connected, and there is a maximum of 2 user memory for 90 readings each. So this is how the digital apparatus is being. Coming on to the next, we have the parts of the stethoscope along with the bath thermometer. So this is a bath thermometer which is mostly used in case of any hot applications or cold applications to denote the temperature of the water and to denote the temperature of what degree centigrade or Fahrenheit is being needed for the patient in case of any hot and cold applications. Next, on the right hand side, you have the parts of the stethoscope where you have the headset, or you call it as the headpiece, which is having 2 earpieces. That is the metal tubing, and you have the tubings. Finally, the stem of the stethoscope, and you have the bell portion, which is very small when compared to the diaphragmatic portion, which is placed on the chest. Last but not least, we are having the pulse grading scale. So whenever we assess the pulse, we are going to assess the rate, rhythm, volume and tension. So here I have just given a small hint on how we grade the pulse, such as if there is no pulse, whenever you palpate on all these sides, you give a score of 0. If you feel the pulse very feeble and weak, then we can give a score of 1 plus. And if there is a good tension, good volume and good rhythm, then the patient will be getting a score of 2 plus. If the pulse is very much bounding higher, then we give a scoring of 3 plus, and if this pulse is very much bounding, we are going to give a score of 4 plus, which is nearly abnormal. On the right hand side, this instrument or the equipment, which we call it as the pulse oximetry. So this is mainly from the word oxy. There is a small clue that it is going to denote the oxygen saturation of the patient. So you have this pulse oximetry being charged earlier, and you can just remove the adapter and place it on the patient's fingers. So on the LCD display, you will be able to see the bar graph of the pulse oximetry, the heart rate, the blood oxygen monitor, on and off switch, and of course here you have the battery chamber unit, and fingertip sensor is being placed on the one end, and on the other hand there is a string hole where you can add some more a rope in order to prevent the losing of the equipment. So that's all for today. Hope you all enjoy the video. Don't forget to subscribe and like my channel. Please do comment on the comment box. Thank you.